You're in Braves country.
All right, good afternoon, Braves country, or maybe if you're in the Central Time Zone, good morning. As the Atlanta Braves are set to take on the Philadelphia Phillies in a 3-game series, and you don't like to say this early in the season, but it's the truth. It's a critical series. Now, do we think we have to go out and sweep the team that's playing the best in baseball right now? No, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that. But you'd like to win it. And you damn sure better not get swept. Because you get swept, you can pretty much kiss the division goodbye, and it's too early to do that. Yeah, you could get hot, and yeah, you could do this and could do that. But if this team's not going to get off the mat and win at least one game at home, you don't like your chances for that. And for us to just be 15 games in the season at that point, essentially, and be looking at a wild card the rest of the year, that's not what we want. And I don't think it's what we're going to get. I think the Braves are going to come out fighting. I think we've got a very good chance of winning today's game. It's going to be a low-scoring affair if we're going to get the win. That's for damn sure. And it's good to see everybody in the chat. We're going to do this off the bat just so that I don't miss anyone off the front here. Good to see you, Charles and Robert. And see, is anybody else in the chat so far? Not yet, but I'm sure others will pop in. We'll say hello to them as we see them come in. We're doing these. Excuse me. We're doing these at noon on the day of the beginning of a series. So at noon at the beginning of the series is why does Robert ask things that are on the screen? Is Zach Wheeler pitching tonight? It is on the screen, Robert. Try to keep up. It's Wheeler versus Sale tonight. We'll go over the and I apologize if you can't read, but I mean it's right there on the screen. It's Wheeler versus Sale tonight. It is we'll hit the entire pitching matchups as we go right here. Tomorrow night is an interesting matchup because you have for the Atlanta Braves, and this is assuming everything stays in stone. Now that's an MLB Network game. That doesn't really mean anything per se, but just letting y'all know that if you're out of the Braves area, you'd be able to catch on MLB Network. Realize if you're in Braves country, you're going to be blacked out. They're not going to show it. because the Braves have chosen to stay in blackout territory. So there's that. But we've got tomorrow night. It's supposed to be Taijuan Walker versus Grant Holmes. And if you look at those numbers, those are a little misleading because Taijuan Walker is 1-0 with a 0.00 ERA. He went 6 innings, 3 hits allowed, 4 Ks, 1 walk. Grant Holmes had a disaster. All right. The difference being Walker was not in Dodger Stadium when he took on his first assignment. Grant Holmes was, and that's the difference in the two. I think it's going to be a good matchup. Braves and everybody else normally hits Taijuan Walker well. The one thing I will say about Taijuan Walker, he normally comes out the gates pretty quickly, meaning he has good starts to the season. But right now, obviously, with this being the beginning of the season, Taijuan Walker may go out there and pitch a really good game. Excuse me. Taijuan Walker's infamous that by the end of the season, I'm talking about by right around the All-Star break, he tanks. He's done. Braves have seen him enough where I think they should be able to handle him pretty well and put some runs on the board. Grant Holmes versus that Phillies lineup, that's going to be the most interesting thing for me because that is a hell of a lineup that the Phillies have. They keep touting the Phillies starting pitching as the best rotation in baseball. I don't buy that because of guys like Taijuan Walker. They've got a couple of elite guys. They've got a really top-notch prospect, but he's not expected to be anywhere near Philadelphia Phillies Stadium till maybe the middle of the year. That's Andrew Painter. If you haven't heard of him, he had Tommy John surgery, and they expect him to be involved. But we've seen that whole deal with Tommy John surgeries way too many times. How many times have we seen a Braves pitcher that they say is right on track for June, right on track for July, and then you never see the guy, or if you do, he's a shadow of his former self. Now, Spencer Strider, he has actually been looking pretty good. And that is one thing I want to play for y'all real quick, is why I was a couple of minutes late, because I was trying to get this thing recorded as in real time and get it and turn it into a clip. But a little while ago, they talked to Brian Snicker, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because the whole thing's actually kind of dull and it's very television-y. It's very, what'd you eat for breakfast? All that kind of stuff. But they did ask him about how all the injuries are going and the players that are on the way. And we're talking about guys like Spencer Strider, Sean Murphy, who comes off the IL today. We found that out Sunday afternoon, right around the time of the rain out from the Marlins game. I'm having a hard time for this thing to load, so I'll wait for it to load before I play it for you. And then, of course, about Ronald Acuna Jr. So we'll play for you that here in a second as soon as the application loads. But looking at the rest of the series in the pitching aspect of it, the Braves, we get Wheeler tonight. We're going up against Taijuan Walker on Wednesday night, and then Thursday night. And these are, by the way, these are all 7:15. If y'all aren't ready and paying attention to the times, they're all 7:15, so we don't get a getaway day or anything like that. And they do that because it's the Phillies and they want to pack the place out. I get it. Not to mention, let's be honest, the Braves play terribly in regular season games. Yes, Sean. Yes, Robert. Sean Murphy is back tonight, as we just stated. I would assume he starts. I would assume that he's not going to ride the bench. But honest engine, Zach Wheeler, I don't think it's going to matter. I think Zach Wheeler would carve up a rookie like Drake Baldwin. I think he's going to carve up Sean Murphy coming off the IL. But you never know. He might get lucky and get into one. We're going to get into that game specifically here in a second. But Thursday night's game, 7:15. Once again, it's Luzardo versus Schwellenbach, and that's a fun one because you're talking about two teams could be deciding who wins the series because we could be split at that point, or one team's trying to stave off a sweep. And Schwellenbach has been by far our best pitcher so far. Now, what does he do against the Phillies? And also, everybody has a bad outing. So you don't know what you're going to get, but you do believe that the Braves ought to be able to hit Luzardo. He's 2-0 with a 1.5 ERA and a .92 whip. 12 innings, 19 strikeouts, 4 walks, and home run, 7 hits allowed. So pretty darn impressive by Luzardo. And he's a good pitcher, but he has a tendency to not always pitch great. And the Braves have seen him a ton because, remember, he was with the Marlins before, and the Braves typically hit left-handed pitching pretty well. And I believe Schwellenbach's going to go out there and do his thing. And he's going to give us every opportunity to win that ball game. That's going to be a fun one. That's probably – we get 2 great pitching matchups that are bookcasing a big question mark on Wednesday because either one of those pitchers could go out and dominate for Philly or Atlanta, but you could also see either one of those pitchers getting bombed and being out of the game by the 3rd inning. So we might get 3 pitching duels if Taijuan Walker and Grant Holmes pitch to their potential, and this is going to be a tough series. Now, granted, the Braves have had the last 2 days off because of the rain out. And the Phillies are coming off a tough series against the Dodgers. They won, by the way. They won 2 out of 3. It was in Philadelphia. It wasn't in Dodger Stadium. So a little different. It was a fun series. If you didn't watch that series, I watched quite a bit of it. But so their bullpen is a little taxed, but they did get a day off as well. You wish that the Phillies were coming in off of 0 rest, having to fly into Atlanta, but the schedules have been much more kind to Philly early in the season than they have Atlanta, and that's just the way it goes. You know, there's ways to get up there and fight and go to the scheduling coordinators and tell you want this and want that. Braves don't tend to do that. Braves tend to be very okay with you do whatever you want as long as we get certain times of the year at home. So we're dealing with that. But nonetheless, this is going to be a very fun series. And it should be. I was hoping, I'm going to be honest with you, I was hoping against hope that Spencer Strider would make an appearance in this series. He lines up because he pitched on Friday night, no hit, 5 2/3 or 5 1/3, I can't remember right now, but he no hit. Now, minor league baseball, I get it, but nonetheless, he went out there and flashed and went 5 1/3. I was hoping Spencer Strider was going to come out there and pitch Thursday night against the Phillies, and at that point, in theory, what you could have done, I guess it doesn't change. Well, no, honestly, because he pitched Friday, I was hoping he was going to pitch Wednesday night, because on regular rest, he could go out there and pitch on Wednesday against the Phillies. And even if you say, hey, we're going to take you at a pitch count, you're only going to be X amount of pitches and be right straight forward with Strider, it would have been a jolt to the arm in that second game, and then have Grant Holmes come out and piggyback in. That's not what they wanted to do, and I get it. I'm not double guessing that. I'm saying what I would have liked to have seen as a fan. That's all I'm trying to say. I get it that they have a progression for him and whatnot, but they probably also didn't want him to make his debut against the Phillies because they're afraid he's going to put a little more extra oomph in it because of the rivalry. But this is what we're getting, and tonight you've got Sale, you've got Wheeler. We'll get into that in a second. I finally get that clip to download. It's a very short clip talking to Snicker basically about the injury issues. Here we go.
Spencer's he's throwing Thursday in Gwinnett, and then we'll see how that goes. And I think he's closer than we think, quite honestly. Ronald still, hadn't been cleared to do all the running and the starting and stopping and things like that. He's getting live at bats down in the minor league camp. But we're going to activate Murph today, so we're getting him back today. So that's what, these guys are coming, and it's going to be a shot in the arm when we get them. But still we're better than what we've shown, quite honestly. And I'm just waiting for all that to start clicking here now.
So there you have that. Murphy comes in tonight. If nothing else, it's a bit of a defensive upgrade. And remember, late in the game, you now have the option. This is something the Braves didn't have in years past. And it's not that we don't miss Travis d'Arnaud, because I think the clubhouse misses him. I'd say the loss of him and a couple of others probably led to this terrible start. I'm not going to blame it all on that, but I'm saying that I feel like their leadership was missed. But I would have liked to have seen this type of option in previous years. Even if you never made the trade for Sean Murphy and you had extended Travis and he's behind the plate and here comes Drake Baldwin, because now what we have now is a true ability to platoon when you want to. You can do it just off a day's rest, but with the catcher position, we have a right-handed hitting Murphy and a left-handed hitting Baldwin. And what really makes that big is that late in the game, you don't have to kill two position players off your bench for one move. Meaning, in years past, we would take a guy like a Robbie Grossman off the bench to pinch hit, and then they would shuffle around and eventually put the catcher back in the next inning, because they had brought a tough righty out of the bullpen. Well, if you have a tough righty comes out of the bullpen, and you believe in Drake Baldwin, like I think he's really putting some good swings on right now, and I think the ball's eventually going to start dropping for the kid. And they've made their decision that he's staying, because if you missed the news on Sunday, Mr. Chadwick Tromp was DFA'd, and we'll see where he ends up landing. But he was DFA'd, and I'm glad to see it, because. And the tea leaves were written. Everybody saw it. Nobody was shocked by this. Not one iota, right? Not one iota were we shocked that Chadwick Tromp is no longer with us, because every opportunity that he got, he didn't do anything with. He didn't get any base hits. That defensively, he was okay, but there was nothing lights out about him. And guys have been running on the Braves for the last 3 years anyway. So that really, it's not like he was a stopper that could go out there and slow you down. He's a catcher who in catcher years is on the backside of it. And we wish him well. I like Chadwick Tromp a lot. I just don't know if he's ever going to be major league everyday backup material, or is he always going to be basically a fringe guy? But now we have Baldwin and we have Murphy. So if they bring a tough righty out of the pen, and Murphy's already going up against a tough righty, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to bench him on his first day back, I wouldn't think. We'll get the lineups around. They normally come out around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on the Braves home games. And once again, if you're just joining us, we do this show at noon on the beginning of a series. So we'll be back at it on Friday when we head to Tampa Bay to take on the Rays. But you got that now as a true platoon. And with all that being said, tonight's matchup, and I think I want to say it was Robert, maybe it was somebody else that was talking about tonight's matchup. To me is, I'm a little surprised that this isn't being hyped up more. Maybe it's because the Braves are starting at such a bad start, but remember, we're only 9 games in. And I mentioned at the top of the show that if we got swept, it would be crushing. You'd be 1-11. you would be like 10 games out of first, somewhere in that neighborhood. And you'd really have to start looking at the real aspect of the fact that you're probably competing for a wild card. And if Philly collapses, it falls in your lap, fair enough, but you almost have to put the division out of sights and let's just start playing baseball. Right now, you don't even look at the standings because A, too early, and B, when you start off this bad, what the hell's the point of looking at the standings, right? But for fun, we're always going to do that going into this beginning of a series because you want to know where you're at. Right now, if you're wondering, yes, the Braves have the worst record in baseball. We were 1-8, and that's bad. The good is it can only go up from here. Look at the big picture. If you were to sweep this series, you would be within 3 games of the Phillies instantly. If you win this series, you'll be within 5, and you're still talking about 150 plus games to go. The Mets are neck and neck with the Phillies. I'm not referring to being out of first place because once again, it's too early to start looking at everything. Yeah, when you're scoreboard watching, you want to see the Mets lose. You want to see the Phillies lose because you know they're the 2 most talented teams in your division alongside you, and you haven't played up to par, and they have. The Phillies 7-2, Mets are 7-3, just a half game back. Miami is sitting there at 5-5. Washington's 4-6. Washington beat the Dodgers last night. Seems like everybody's beating the damn Dodgers. But once again, this is a road trip for the Dodgers. And this is what I was talking to before about the fact that it's kind of dopey that they started the Braves where they started them. And we even talked about this in the preseason. There was going to be a tough start. We didn't think we were going to go 0-7, but I honestly thought 1-6 was possible. I thought 2-5 was very possible, and I would have been thrilled with 3-4. And a couple of things went wrong that everything that could go wrong went wrong on that series. We split with the Marlins. You would have liked to have taken the 2 games. I think they should have done their due diligence on the fact that it was you knew 99% chance of a rain out on Sunday. And I think that what they should have done is they should have been a little more aggressive in getting Shawver out of the game, knowing you could unload your damn bullpen. Now, look, we didn't score, so does it really matter? Probably not. But I think you could have seen a jolt in the fact that, and only because you had started off 1-7 should you have been so aggressive. But the one problem with Snicker is the thing that a lot of people love about Snicker is that he doesn't react quickly. He lets the whole thing unfold. It's steady as she goes, and that's the part of his charm. But us as fans, we're like, damn it, you need to step on the gas pedal. Quit screwing around in cruise control. And just because it's 162 games, like the old saying goes, you can't win the division, or at this point now, wild card, in April. But you can damn sure lose it. So get it together. And so that's all we're trying to say. Tonight with Wheeler, I'll be honest with you, nobody hits Wheeler well. But the one guy that I'm going to pick to click because I believe he is going to – I have this vision that he is going to put it on Wheeler with a dead center shot, and that's Marcell Ozuna. So I'm going to take Marcell Ozuna to click and for the Braves to win a very low-scoring game. I think Chris Sale is going to Chris Sale. I think Philly will be lucky to scratch out a run. I think the Braves will be lucky to scratch out 2. So I will take the Braves to win this one 2-1. I never picked this low-scoring of a game. I almost went with 1-0, and I could very well see that. I just hope we get a little breathing room and it's 2-0, and then all hell breaks loose. Whatever, you've got Raisel Iglesias to slam the door shut in a regular 9th inning, not the extended. What was it the other night in Dodger Stadium where we tried to get 5 outs from him? And by the way, when we went to that, we went to it too late. The rally had already started. Honestly, what Snicker probably should have done, I'm sure even he would admit to this behind closed doors, because of the length of his absence. Iglesias probably should have been went to for 2 innings right out the box to start the 8th, and there never would have been a rally. He would have came into clean bases, and you would figure out the rest of the week, especially, once again, we all knew that storm was coming on Sunday. So that's what I'm going with. Does anyone see? Charles says 4-1. See if Robert says the Braves are taking 2 out of 3 games. I agree with you, Robert. I think it's I'm not going to say it's a slam dunk, but I do believe we are going to win this series. If we don't, we're going to be concerned. The season won't be over, but you start almost putting the division in the rear view. That's how I'll look at the whole thing. So we got to win this series. Sweep would be great, but we're going to get 2 very good tests, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday in the pitching department. Wednesdays, like I said, it's a toss-up because Taijuan Walker looked great his first time out, but Taijuan Walker is not great. And he normally has a fastball that once you see it a couple times through the lineup, teams start tagging. And he usually struggles with his control. He did not struggle with his control his first time out, but he's always been like this. All right, y'all. We said we're going to try to make these short and sweet. It's about as short and as sweet as I can be on a season that has started out like this. And we do have something. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and tell you because it's going to be replaying at just before first pitch. I'll tell you what we're doing. If you are a country club member, if you have not looked at it, this is what we're doing for Keith. And I'll go ahead and put it up. And this tells you something how much we think of Keith. Keith was for people who don't know this, we lost Keith Parker over the weekend, passed away. I don't know the age. Nobody forwarded that to me, but we're going to get something else put together before the game. But if you look at on the screen, what you see is Keith was not only a huge Braves fan, he was a huge Miami Hurricane fan. He talked about it all the time. Was he 90, Charles? Because I kept hearing he kept prefacing that he was almost 90. So I did. So anyways, he was either 89 or 90. Charles may know. I just, that's what I always saw in my chat. And he said some very nice things to me in the chat the last night he was here. And really meant a lot to me about how much he enjoyed the play-by-play broadcast. But Keith is a Miami Hurricane fan. Everybody knows I'm a Florida State guy. My dad graduated from Florida State, so I'm not an apologist for it. So obviously I'm not a Hurricane fan. I'm such a big Florida State guy that I don't believe that they ever crowned a national champion last night in basketball. Don't believe it. If you tell me that someone did win, it's fake news. But we made that K. Okay, Charles, thanks. We made that K in his honor. And if you look at it, it is Miami Hurricane colors. K is for Keith, but K is also for strikeouts. And we're going to carry that for the rest of the year with Keith. And we're doing that because he meant a lot to everybody. And so it's your way to show appreciation for Keith, but also every time that someone strikes someone out, it's going to have that K up there. And Gary, I know you're a huge fan of the backwards K. If we get more emojis, I will bring that one back too. I just don't have room for it right now. So the more country club members we get, the more emojis we'll get, et cetera, and I will try to bring that back. But in the meantime, K is for Keith, and it's and that's how it's written in the emoji. But that's it, and we're gonna get out of here. Y'all have a great day, and hopefully we will get a win. And we're getting ready for pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves. 7:15 first pitch, and good news, as of right now, it's supposed to be beautiful weather all 3 games. All 3 games, beautiful weather. And that's great because I don't want to see a rain delay, rain out. We have to play them at the end of the year in some weird double header crap that ends up being like when we had to play the damn Mets at the end of the year. This series deserves to be played in full, 3-game series. Let's go. Y'all have a great one, Braves Country. And thanks for those y'all who have take the time out of your lunch day to come in and say hi and smack the likes. And we will see you at 7:15 here on Braves Country.